Hello, welcome back to Light on Yoga by BKS Iyengar, explained by a non-Iyengar yoga teacher. Today we're doing one of the most common and well-known, I'd say, yoga poses out of all of the poses in the whole book, which is a downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana, which is 5 stars in difficulty out of 60, according to Iyengar. Here's what it looks like from the front and from the side. Adho Mukha means having the face downwards. Svana means a dog. The pose resembles a dog stretching itself with head and forelegs down and the hind legs up, hence the name. You'll see here, which is not common now at all, is that he has the top of his head on the ground and he's really almost like overextending his shoulders. Let's see his technique. Lie full length on the floor on the stomach, face downwards. Interesting. The feet should be kept 1 foot apart. Rest the palms by the side of the chest, the fingers straight and pointing in the direction of the head. Exhale and raise the trunk from the floor. Straighten the arms, move the head inwards toward the feet, and place the crown of the head on the floor, keeping the elbows straight and extending the back. I need to reread this. Rest the palms by the side of the chest, the fingers straight and pointing in the direction of the head. Exhale and raise the trunk from the floor. So to me, that sounds like going up to plank pose. Then he says, straighten the arms, move the head inwards towards the feet, and place the crown of the head on the floor, keeping the elbows straight and extending the back. The thing with that is that sounds like it's going to be a really short downward facing dog, when here you can see his hands and feet are very far apart from one another. So that's interesting to me. We'll see how it turns out in my body when I try it. Okay, the next step, keep the legs stiff and do not bend the knees, but press the heels down. The heels and soles of the feet should rest completely on the floor, while the feet should be parallel to each other, the toes pointing straight ahead. Stay in the pose for about a minute with deep breathing. Then with an exhalation, lift the head off the floor, stretch the trunk forward, and lower the body gently to the floor and relax. It has kind of a long little paragraph here about effects. When one is exhausted, a longer stay in this pose removes fatigue and brings back the lost energy. The pose is especially good for runners who get tired after a hard race. Sprinters will develop speed and lightness in the legs. The pose relieves pain and stiffness in the heels and helps soften the calcaneal spurs. I don't know what that is. I will look it up and put a description in the box. It strengthens the ankles and makes the legs shapely. The practice of this asana helps to eradicate stiffness in the region of the shoulder blades, and arthritis of the shoulder joints is relieved. The abdominal muscles are drawn toward the spine and strengthened. As the diaphragm is lifted to the chest cavity, the rate of the heartbeat is slowed down. This is an exhilarating pose. Those who are afraid to do sirsasana, which is headstand, can conveniently practice this position. As the trunk is lowered in this asana, it is fully stretched and healthy blood is brought to this region without any strain on the heart. It rejuvenates the brain cells and invigorates the brain by relieving fatigue. Persons suffering from high blood pressure can do this pose. Let's try it out according to his directions. I'll prop you up here so that you can see my feet. All right, from laying down, Oliver's back here. Excuse me. I'm having to kind of push him off. All right, laying with your feet about a foot apart, tucking your toes, hands by your chest, fingers pointing forward. I'm gonna lift up sort of into plank, and then he says straighten your arms and then drop your head back all the way down. So okay, I'm gonna move so that you can see that my heels are on the ground. Then I'm gonna try to get my head to touch the ground, but you can see my hands and feet are pretty close together compared to how it looked like his were in the photo. So to get my head down to the ground, I will have to kind of ease my hands more far forward. Ooh, this is very intense. I've never tried to do down dog like this, getting my head all the way to the floor, but it is super intense in my shoulders. And I would say I'm pretty flexible in my shoulders, but maybe not, since this feels very intense. Wow, this is not at all how I know down dog to be. This is super interesting and illuminating to me that this is down dog in Iyengar yoga. So normally, as in how it's more commonly taught today, unless you're in an Iyengar class, I suppose, your heels are on the ground, your legs are straight, your head hangs between your arms, but you're not sort of overly extending the way that he wants you to. Normally we tell you to keep your body in this V shape that my body is in right now. So your arms, your back, and your neck, and your head are all in a line. That's pretty different than what he's having us do, which is
making the back sort of concave there. So try both of these out. Also, he doesn't say about variations if this is too much, but in general, you can keep your knees bent if you need to make this happen, or you can slide a little block or something or blanket under your heels if you can't touch the ground with your heels. So once again, not really offering props or modifications, which I find strange since Iyengar is so known for almost like creating the use of props in yoga asana. But I suppose either he hadn't gotten to that yet in his stage of teaching, or perhaps he just didn't want to include it in this book. But I'm very interested to learn more about that, so maybe that's something I'm going to look into and we'll report back on later. If you thought this video was helpful, please give it a thumbs up. Leave a comment letting me know your thoughts on this. Iyengar downward facing dog versus westernized vinyasa style downward facing dog in 2020 and more recent times. And subscribe if you haven't yet to my channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you again soon.